Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, the only podcast dedicated to helping you grow your dance studio while reclaiming your life. It's Clint Salter here, the CEO and founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association. And for the next 8 weeks, we're bringing you a very special series of podcast episodes with dance studio owners Jane and Melanie Gard, who are also part of our Inner Circle program. Over these next 8 episodes, Jane and Mel will be sharing their own challenges, successes, experiences, and advice as dance studio owners. Welcome to this very special podcast event, At the Bar with Jane and Mel. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the bar. Another episode of At the Bar with Miss Mel and Miss Jane, the podcast by dance studio owners for dance studio owners. Welcome, Miss Mel.
Thanks, Jane. I'm so excited. What episode are we up to? Number 6, I think.
Oh, 104. I don't know.
Something like that.
And I've got here on my screen meeting topic, more awesomeness with Miss Mel. So no pressure, but you need to be awesome this morning.
Okay.
Productivity is our subject of choice today. And so with that, I feel like we should be very productive and dive straight in. Lots to do. But productivity, it's something I think everybody, we're always looking for the hack, aren't we? We're always looking at how to get more time, how to squeeze more time in, how to get more done. Whoa, what are your thoughts? Just like off the cuff, diving in.
Well, I've been thinking about it all week actually, because when I was younger, before children, BC, we'll say, BC, I was really good at holding things in my mind. If I had an appointment, if I had a meeting, whatever it might be, I'd be able to look at my week and go, okay, that's what I'm doing this week. No problem. Off I'd go. Obviously, I'd check my diary here and there, but I was pretty good at remembering what I needed to do. I had baby number 1. It wasn't too bad. Was able to sort of keep that. Baby number 2 undid me. I forgot appointments. I didn't know what day it was. I had a baby and a toddler, and it really threw me. Like I got, and I'm not a big fan of using the word baby brain because that's a really, I feel like it's a bit denigrating to women because you're actually responsible for other human beings, and it sucks a lot out of you when you're trying to do that. So my number 1 tip to remember what to do is put it in your phone and make your phone beep at you. That changed my world. Honestly, when I started doing that, I would put, appointments in, whether it would be the doctor's appointment or a meeting that I had. I would put it in my phone, and then you can set alerts, the day before, 2 hours before, whatever it is. And your phone beeps at me and I go, good, I'm there. Yeah. But before that, I was a bit of a mess, I must admit.
And it's a hard little journey to navigate because I can resonate with your story there. I was the same. I held a lot in my head. It didn't take up much space, whereas now I feel if I'm holding appointments and ideas and thoughts and anything in my head, it's actually just taking up too much space. And there's not that much space in my brain anyway, so I can't be filling it with stuff like that. I need to be filling it with the stuff that matters. So I have moved away from electronic kind of reminders in the last year or so, just because I ended up feeling quite hassled. I was getting a bit edgy, like every time my phone beeped, I'd get like a little twitch. So I thought that perhaps that wasn't that healthy for me. So I've actually gone back to paper. And so I think that's probably great that you mentioned like the electronic kind of method of keeping organised, and I'm saying paper because there's not one size fits all, is there?
Yeah, and I do a combination of both. So basically appointments go in my phone. So, whether that's a meeting or a, dentist appointment for the kids, whatever that is, they go on my phone, and then I have my little book, which is my to-do list. And I write that every couple of days. I like ticking things off paper too, I have to say.
Oh, yes. I mean, there is great satisfaction in crossing or ticking or highlighting whatever you want to do. But, yeah, I agree.
Something first and then you write it down.
Yeah. No judgment here. I might have done that a couple of times as well, particularly at performance and recital time when you just really need to feel like you're making, inroads on your list. One little idea I wanted to bring to the table is that often when we think about productivity, we start to automatically go to time management. And here's the thing that I've found. We've all got the same amount of time. So that's not so great, or maybe it is. I don't need an 8th day in the week because I know what I do with it, and that's work. But what I find is sometimes people say to me, I just don't know how you fit it all in. I don't know how you get it all done. And that made me think, well, neither do I, because we've all got the same amount of time, all right? It's the one thing that equalizes us. So time is fixed. But what I think has impacted my productivity the most is looking at energy management. Energy can be flexed. So while I don't have more time than other people, I reckon I might have more energy than other people. And when I am firing on all cylinders, I can really, get through huge amounts of work. But that's been a process, and I was just reflecting as I was zooming home to chat with you from dropping the children at school. My kind of power time when I do my best work most quickly is between about 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. now that the children are at school. Very different when you've got children at home. And so it's worth mentioning, everything has to be suiting your own scenario where it is at the moment. But I can power through, 9 till 12. All of a sudden it's 12 p.m. After that, I'm not so great.
I used to be really great at night. I would do, when the kids were little, and I look back and I think, I don't know how I did that, but I used to do a lot of work late at night.
Me too.
And then I got to a point where that became really unproductive, maybe as I got older.
Yeah, but you're tired then too sometimes.
Yeah. And then I remember reading something about, and I'd never really sort of put this together, but basically your brain is an organ that requires nutrition and glucose. So by the end of the day, your glucose stores are depleted, and therefore your brain is not actually firing the way it should be. So rightly so, in the morning, once you've had your brekkie and all those sorts of things, you're firing, you're awake, you're alert. And I stopped working late at night when I started making lots of mistakes. I found that, I'd write stuff or do things, and then I'd look at it the next day and think, oh my goodness, like there are so many errors there because I just wasn't focused,
Yeah, and so that really is a waste of time then. You're not being productive, you're just being busy. And, when your error rate increases, then and often when we are tired, our error rate increases, but also our rate of work, how quickly or slowly we're doing the work. So we're taking double as long to do work that is not very good. So that is, I'm like you, when the children were little and I was doing kindergarten drop-offs and, I don't know, it's a blur. I don't know what I was doing, but I had children. I've put it out of my head. I used to work quite consistently from about 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. at night and fall into bed, and, I wouldn't have to get up and do the school run first thing in the morning. So it was different. So, certainly it's about finding a rhythm that works. And even as recently as this year, I've realised that afternoon shift for me is not very good on the days that I have to then teach. So between 1:30 and about 3:30, if I'm teaching at 4, I actually subconsciously go into a bit of a holding pattern in my brain, and subconsciously I'm like, you don't have time to really get into this because you've got to teach, and so I can't do that deep work. It's different on the days that I finish at 3 and I go and get the kids. Then I'm like, right, you've got till 3, girl, get on in and do it.
Yes, I'm exactly the same, because when I'm teaching, my mind starts to wander to those classes, and I'm thinking about what I need to get ready for that, and exactly the same on those days.
So I think it's about not fighting that. It's about really being conscious about your week and what you need to get done, and being a little bit strategic about your scheduling. So I've got a diary where I put in what I'm doing each day. And so I try and schedule that. I'm going to do my project plans. We're big on project plans in my studio this year, but they take a bit of deep thinking. So I'm going to do those in the morning when I can spend an hour on them and not get interrupted. I'm also going to sometimes remove myself from my office. You've visited my office. It's fun, but it's big and noisy. And even though I've got an office in another building in the garden opposite, I still get visitors. So sometimes, it might just be that I stay at home for the morning and get the work done there.
Yeah, I'm loving now that my kids are at school, just a couple of hours at home in the morning to power through some work uninterrupted.
Yeah, bliss. And in fact, Brian and I, we both took a day yesterday, get how exciting this was, to review our family budget. Woo! What a day that was. We've been really looking forward to it, but we were like, this is just not getting done around the busyness of the rest of our lives. So let's take a day. And you know what? We powered through it because we were just here at home and we just sat on opposite ends of the dining room table with all the papers out, and we did it. And it would have taken us so much longer had we been in an environment where there were distractions or we were trying to do other things at the same time. Yeah. I might have been playing a little bit on Facebook during those sessions. I'll admit to that because, really. Yeah.
Budgeting is not the most interesting thing, but yeah.
I'm human. Do you plan out your weeks, Mel? How do you approach, like if you're at the beginning of a brand new week and you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed, what do you do?
Yeah, well, I'm very much a routine girl. So every day is the same each week in terms of like Mondays I'm at the studio all day and I teach at night. Tuesdays I'm at home, then I go down to the studio later. So I have like a very routine week. I've always been like that and I thrive on a routine. So, Monday's sort of my team day. I'm in the studio in the morning. There's classes running. We have a team meeting Monday mornings. One of my team members is off-site that day, but we FaceTime her in, so she's part of the conversation. And that's really just our checking point for the week to go, okay, the main things that are happening, or we're planning out, things that are happening into the future, and then everybody goes off. And then there might be some individual catch-ups that I do in the afternoon as well. And then I know when I've got to do, like you, that project planning, that thinking, I will do that either on the Tuesday or Thursday. So I know that they're the times that I set aside for those sorts of things. I will say I'm a bit of a girl that can work pretty quickly under tight timelines.
Oh, so really?
Yeah. I remember reading an article on procrastination once, and I thought, this is actually me. I've always been a bit sort of down on myself for putting things off. But when I put things off, I'm actually thinking about them. I do a lot of planning in my head and thinking. I'll make notes, but I won't actually put pen to paper, so to speak, and do it. But when I know, okay, that is due tomorrow, I've got to get that done. I've done all that thinking, and I bang it out, and it comes out really quickly. Yeah. So that's kind of how I work on that front.
But you've had it in your mind, and you probably, because you've had it in your mind, you probably have had an awareness of different things that you could put into that project, and that's your reticular articulating system at work.
Listen to you, fancy.
I know, that's my fancy word, because I thought I wouldn't put any Australian slang into this podcast, so I thought I'd be fancy today.
I was looking forward to it.
No, there's still time. There's still time. I do love routine too. I'm like nodding. I love a break in routine, but it also kind of disarms me a little bit. So I hang out for holidays, and then I feel a little bit edgy. And even I'm the personality type that kind of still has to have some kind of outcome for each day, even if I'm on holiday. So even when I'm on holiday, I might be lying in bed. This annoys my husband no end, bless you, Brian. But I might be like, okay, now today we're going to go for a walk and then we're going to build sandcastles, and also we have to go to the supermarket and get some groceries. So it might be as mundane as that, but I do like a list. I'll admit that. But I do like routine as well. I think there's something very satisfying about routine, and maybe because I wanted to talk about habits as well. I think when you hardwire some habits, your productivity increases, and I think that probably plays really nicely into routine because you're not having to think so much about what comes next because it's routine. You know what comes next. Yeah.
And it's like even in the mornings, like I try and make sure things like putting on the load of washing, hanging out a load of washing, all that stuff I do as I'm getting the kids ready for school. So then I'm not coming back home when I, into my work time and I'm like, oh, I could do the washing and, so I'm trying to use those blocks of time as much as I can. Like I'm, like a little gun, I don't know.
Like a little machine. And it feels good. And some mornings you nail it, right? And then other mornings not so much. Yeah.
Totally.
I have what I call Sunday sessions, which used to be very different. Sunday session used to be very different in my 20s and probably a little bit more fun actually. But now that I'm a little older, my Sunday sessions involve a cup of tea on a Sunday evening, and I just take half an hour and I reflect on the week that was and what went well. And I've talked about my diary before. I use the Leaders in Heels diary, which is an Australian product, and I love because it forces me into this reflection each Sunday night. And then I look ahead at the week, and from there I like to just kind of know what's happening before Monday morning, if that makes sense. Like just get it into my head about. Yeah, maybe it is a little bit like you. I just want to kind of be thinking about it even before it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's comfort in that, isn't there? Like my eldest child, she's a next level planner. She's like, Mum, so on September the 1st at 11, I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to get through the day,
Let's just do today.
Yeah. But that's her. I mean, she's just meticulous on that front. But that it's kind of her safety net. Like that's what I feel it is for me too. Like planning it makes me feel safe. Like I know what's going to happen. My husband Rob is just like so in the moment, and my son's like that too. And I don't want to make this a gender thing because it's not. They are both just like so in the moment. Like my son got out of the car this morning and I'm like, mate, you've got to hurry because the bell's about to go. But, they don't have a bell. But, you school's about to start. He gets out of the car. Then he's like, oh, hang on. I think I'll just check my bag. And then he slowly opens the zip and he gets distracted and starts putting the window down. I'm like,
go.
But he's just in that moment, then it becomes about the zip and drives me bonkers, but I also kind of admire it.
I'm jealous. Mm-hmm.
Just be in the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely not a gender thing because my firstborn has some of those traits as well, and she's a girl. I also think it's probably worth mentioning for a long time, my expectations of what I could achieve in a day were completely unrealistic. I think perhaps deep down I thought I really, truly was Superwoman, and none of us are. And what the danger with that is that it left me feeling basically constantly unfulfilled and a bit like I was failing on a daily level because I wasn't completing my to-do list, but no one could have completed that to-do list, Mel. It was huge. So a practice that I have been using for about a year is just putting my 3 big things at the top of my day. If I do nothing else for this day, what are the 3 things that I'd like to achieve? And I've got to say that's been liberating. It's taken pressure off. I get to the end of the day and I just feel like, I did that. I did my 3 big things. I really put my focus in them. I've even included my teaching now because I used to not do that. So on Tuesday and Thursday when I teach, I have 2 big things and then I write class because that's kind of a big thing. You know, and I was trying to do so much and I just felt that I wasn't getting anything done. But that's really helped.
Yeah. Yeah. This is sort of a similar point, but maybe going back to what we talked about, I think it was in the episode about performances, about looking around you too, in terms of who can actually help you achieve what you need done. And when I first started my studio, I was like iron cast. I am doing everything. I don't need your help. I can do this. Like I was out to prove. I don't know what I was out to prove actually when I look back.
How to figure it out.
It was this sort of idea of being like a superwoman and I can do this motherhood thing and run a business and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm a big believer in epiphanies, and I had this epiphany. It was slapped me in the face when we had a student who was really very unwell and very sadly passed away. But her cancer journey was it was hard. She had a very rare form of cancer. And we organised this day within my studio. It was the first time I'd ever really let people in to help. I know that sounds really silly and I don't mean it in that, but like parents would always come in and go, oh, do you need help? And I'd be like, no, we're fine. Thank you very much. And off I'd go and then I'd stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning making headpieces and, a martyr.
Yeah, don't know what you're talking about, but I can't relate at all. Wink, wink.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we had this day and we had like silent auctions and we ran this dance event and we raised $10,000. It was like, it just blew my mind. And I forever in my heart, this child, Maddie, will be that person that taught me that people are, you don't have to do it alone.
No.
We're not superheroes. We don't have to like tick everything off and be this high achieving, because like what's the point? Like what's the point of throwing yourself into the ground?
The cost is too high, isn't it? It's Miss Mel, we were chatting before we started recording and you told me a story that made me cry, and now I'm here again. I'm feeling a little bit hypersensitive this morning, but thank you for sharing that. And what a beautiful legacy that event had as well for you, because that is a very real lesson that needs to be had and has possibly saved you from burnout. In some ways, it's possibly made you a better mother. In other ways, it could have possibly saved a marriage. There are times that I look and I'm trying to be superwoman, and then I think, Jane, you are risking too much here. Your husband is giving you hints that you're working too much or you're too tired and you're not listening to them, and if you keep going on like that, then my marriage is everything to me and I don't want to risk it. So why am I trying to do everything and not leaving any time for the things that matter, the things that really matter? Yeah.
Totally. And sometimes that was deep, wasn't it?
I know. I wasn't really ready for that. That wasn't in my notes.
It wasn't in my notes either. Sorry. But it was just one of those moments in time for me. I learned so much from that, and we talked about this, I'm sure, in that performance episode.
Yeah, we definitely did. Yeah.
Genuinely people out there that want to help. I was always afraid of, well, if that person helps me, what do they want back from me? I was afraid of that. Like that I
just let people in.
Repay them in some shape or form, and I didn't feel like I had the capacity to do that. But now I look at myself and I love helping people. It gives me the greatest joy to know that I can, the other day I picked up a friend from hospital because her husband couldn't get there in time to pick her up from it. It was just a day procedure. But and she was so grateful. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, it makes me feel so good that I can reach out and help you in this moment, you know.
So flip your thinking, and rather, you're providing opportunities for other people to feel good about themselves as well by reaching out and asking for help. And I did have here, I've got a little cloud with the word productivity in it, and then a line out, and I have written prioritize/delegate. So, I think, you know, give away what you can, but let people help. Absolutely. And also, we definitely, I think, did talk about this in the performance conversation, that because people aren't doing things exactly how you may have done them doesn't mean it's wrong. If that means, so for me, if somebody else is doing something 80% of how I did it, and that means instead I'm at home doing a puzzle with Liam, I feel like that's a win.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. 100%.
Because in 10 years' time, when he's 16 and I've got the time, I'm not sure he's going to want to do a puzzle with me anymore.
This is so true.
I'll get back to you on that.
And I feel that slipping away. Like, as I see my kids get older, it's like, oh my gosh, they don't need me as much, you know. But my 13, almost 14-year-old is so independent.
Oh, they're so independent. Yes, I don't see. Yep, absolutely. They do. They do just slip away, and all of a sudden you have a young adult, and off they go.
And going back to that marriage stuff too, like that, and in terms of prioritising, you know, stuff with your husband. Like, I'm looking at my kids thinking, you know, there's another 10 years here, and then they're gone. Like, they'll be off being young adults. And, I mean, I remember that time as a young adult, but hardly seeing my parents, you know, because we were out and on and so busy and all this sort of stuff. And I can see that that's like the last 10 years have just flown by. So, you know, making sure that you're looking after and nurturing the relationships and not getting so caught up in work that stuff gets, you know.
Just gets left. Yeah. So maybe, you know, we're talking about productivity, but maybe scheduling in that kind of time as well. Lower your expectations. You don't have to rule the world this year. You don't have to achieve all of your goals this year. And in fact, I did also write here to myself, let things simmer. So I have like this kind of urgency behind everything, because I'm like, oh, that's such a fabulous idea. It's so fabulous that I have to do it now. But I've got better at letting things simmer. And sometimes, so what I do is I just put them in Evernote, you know, this list of crazy ideas that I've had that at the time seem amazing and urgent and have to be done now. And the funniest part about that is sometimes I go back in 3 months and really the novelty's worn off, and I look at that and I think, I don't want to do that. I'm glad I didn't do that. So, you know, just having a little bit, I have written a piece on having, I guess, a little bit more patience, just a little bit of understanding that it doesn't all have to happen today. You know, don't be unproductive, but just keep things in check. We're here for a long time, but we're here for a good time too, hopefully, if we're doing it right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yes. Really? What is the point? And I just want to, we're kind of coming up to time to wrap it up, but I did want to also talk about just mindset as well with productivity. So getting your mind right, because I know, and this is a little bit about working with yourself, you know, and I've talked about that I work better in the morning, so my mindset's better then, but also with other things that are going on. Like I know, for example, after I've had a chat with you, I'm on a bit of a high, and I kind of go off into the office. That's not the time that I can then really knuckle down and maybe do some research on something straight after that. So it's about working with where your mindset is and predicting it as well. And scheduling things around that. So also one of my little hacks, you know, I do love to meditate, and I try to do it in the mornings, but it doesn't always happen. But sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit frenetic and overwhelmed and I'm heading towards that afternoon slump, I do shut my door to my office and pretend that I'm on a video call because then people don't come in. And I will just take like a 5-minute power nap. I lie on the floor. I look ridiculous, but I also do a little bit of meditation and then I just clear my mind and start again, because I think sometimes we're so wired that we're like, we're operating at this high frequency that sometimes we just need to chill out. Might just be me. I know I'm a bit highly strung at the best of times.
No, I do the same thing. My thing is because I get a bit of back pain. I'm getting old. We know that. And I get up on the foam roller and just roll out my back and just like sort of connect back with my body, because I can find myself. I hold a lot of tension in my shoulders and my neck when I'm busy, and it's like, just stop. Like, just stop.
Yeah, I love that.
And like connect. For me, it's about connecting back with my body and making sure I'm in tune with it. Otherwise, I really can't move.
No, I love that. And that almost is a little bit, we talked about routine, but just to finish up, rituals are worth mentioning. And I had a cup of tea with a very dear friend of mine last week, who's also a dance studio owner here in Adelaide. And she made us a pot of tea each. And she was explaining to me that tea and the art of making tea is quite ritualistic for her. That's her way of decompressing, is just the making of the tea and then sitting and having it. And I thought it was really beautiful. And I am trying to move away from excess coffee consumption so I thought perhaps I might adopt her tea ritual, because I actually found it really quite soothing.
Absolutely. I love that idea.
And that's right. I was like, I've got to go out. I've got to go and buy myself a teapot. Quick, put it on my list. Quick, I need a teapot. But there's something. There's something about it that I really loved, and I thought that she shared with me that if she makes a tea, like slaps a tea bag in a cup, like a mug, she goes, then, things are bad. It's an emergency. Anyway. So anyway, it might be time to go and make a cup of tea, Mel. The time has gone. We've not really finished up with our 3 top tips, but do you have like one last thing that you want to share with us about productivity, a nugget perhaps you've been keeping or you want to revisit?
I've just got something really boring on my list that we haven't talked about.
Oh, good. Great. I can't wait.
Brace yourself.
Yep, I'm ready.
System Hub.
Go on, tell us about it.
System Hub. So it's a like an online software that you can use to create a home for all of your policies, procedures and systems, and it was just a game changer for my team. So I just thought it was worth mentioning some of those things like Asana. I know you use Trello, System Hub. They're just good ways of keeping things stored and making life much easier. And totally boring, but worth mentioning, I suppose.
Completely boring, but it goes back to that white space that we started with. So about not having to keep everything in your head, and when you actually release the information and get it in an organised and usable way, then you do increase your productivity, because you release space in your brain to be creative and useful and productive. I can see why it was a game changer for you. I've got I've got an equally boring thing to finish on. We're really doing very well at selling this. Which is why we're not in marketing. And mine is just about having an awareness of the art of distraction. We've never been in a time, I don't believe, where there are so many distractions, and I am very easily distracted when I'm doing boring work. I invite distraction. I'll admit that. And that's my focus for this year, is to be more focused. I really feel by 38 years of age, I should be able to focus, but I'm getting worse at it, not better. So little things like maybe taking Facebook off your phone, blocking sites on your computer. Again, I'd like to be more self-disciplined, but clearly I'm not. And I found that then that way I can really block my time and go, okay, I've got an hour. Nothing else matters. Like I go to the loo, I get a drink, I set myself up, and then I play a game with it. I'm like, you have to work now for the next hour, no interruptions. Turn your phone off, whatever happens. And that has definitely helped me. And the days that I do that, even for an hour, I get through heaps of stuff, and then I feel good about myself.
Totally. I've turned off all notifications on my phone. It doesn't beep at me. The only thing it beeps at me for is if someone's called me. But otherwise, all notifications are off, because it's too tempting, isn't it?
Shiny disco balls all day. Ding, ding, ding.
And it's just something as like, someone's messaging about picking a kid up from school or whatever. Well, I can deal with that in an hour's time. It's not urgent right now.
It's not urgent. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Well, Miss Mel, we've been very productive for the last half an hour.
We did.
We did. So thank you for sharing your tips and your story. I think that there is lots of power in sharing stories, and I know that one's going to stay with me, and I think it is with others as well. So thank you for sharing that, as well as your very boring System Hub suggestion, equally as inspiring. Beautiful. Well, on that note, that is episode 6, I believe. You asked me at the beginning, and I was being a smarty pants. I do believe that's episode 6 coming to an end, and we look forward to chatting again next week.
Catch you later, Jane.
Okay, bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of our exclusive series At the Bar, powered by the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. For more training, resources and support specifically for dance studio owners who are wanting to grow their business while reclaiming their life, we'd love you to join us in the Dance Studio Owners Association. For all the information, go to dsoa.com. Take care, and we'll see you next week.